Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here on this fine Sunday morning. See, trying to get chat work in here. For some reason, it's not showing up. So let me go ahead and get back into that. I hope everybody's doing well. Today, we're going to be talking about the minting process. We're going to talk a little bit about the different parts of the coin. We're going to be talking about what it means to be in Qs. We're going to be talking about high relief. We're going to be talking about master hubs and master dies, kind of explaining everything. Because as we went through this stuff yesterday, there were people saying, I don't quite understand that. And so we're going to take today, we're going to kind of walk through the minting process. I've got Paula and Eric here with me. We're going to break some stuff down and we're going to go ahead and kind of dig into that. So first off, let me say how do you do to Jack Gallman, Scotty Aquati, Siren, Sturika, Gatita Osos in the house. I hope you all are well. Thank you all for being here. Greatly appreciate you all. And I'm crazy. Good morning. Hope you're well. I'm just trying to get all of this stuff set up. Good morning, Malcolm. All right.
Are you just in landscape mode this morning?
No, I'm in both.
Well, I guess I would be. I guess I'd know if I wasn't in landscape.
Yep, I'm in both. Just trying to get set up because I had to restart. So
Yeah, usually you label them. It doesn't look like they're labeled.
the label's in the description.
Yeah, it's not in my description. Oh, there it is. It's deep in the description.
Yeah, you have to go down into
I only read the first three words. I'm like a speed reader. You remember that when you were young? What was
Yes,
that guy's
that
name?
course you can take where you put
Yeah,
your fingers on the.
basically you read three words, skipped three words. That's how it worked, and it was pretty good. It actually worked, kind of. Evelyn Wood speed reading. That's what it was. When I read a book, I like to enjoy it. I don't want to read a 300-page book in 5 minutes.
Right?
All right, that's cool. I feel so dirty. I ordered books. I've got literally, I'll have 5 coin books again. At one point I had probably over 50, and they got all ruined in a flood.
Oh, that's no good.
Yeah, I wasn't going to buy anymore unless they were digital copies, but I don't have a cherry picker. The cherry picker's guide. Everything I do in cherry pickers is like from memory or other sources.
And, Chuck, let me know if that's bitter. He said I couldn't hear your guests. Hold on just a sec.
I just got the third volume 3 in the mail.
All three of them. I mean, they were $104 shipped after tax and shipping and everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad. I mean,
did you buy the all? You bought the package, the three.
I bought all three of them because the only one I'm interested in is the first one, and that's the one you can't get.
Yeah.
You know,
why
that's
didn't you just buy the first one?
$200.
Why didn't you just?
Because I actually
you're a completionist.
that, and you never know, I might need it. I actually do look.
You won't need You won't need the third volume for sure. There are very few new listings in that.
Well, I don't have even an old copy of it anymore.
Oh, you don't have an old one either?
No, every book I own, the only books I have are books that Brian Allen has given me that he has multiples of.
You lucky dog, you.
And that's his book. Then a book on that, actually, if I could find it, I just don't know where it's at in the office. There's a book on Class 1 double dice. It's like a pamphlet type book that was done in the early 70s. Then there's a book by Alan Herbert that he gave me. That's the same way.
Favorite.
It's basically a 8.5 by 11 paper that's been printed and put together as like a book, like a 40-page book. Not bound or anything. It's stapled together.
Stapled. I have.
But it's good stuff. I mean, that's like the
Oh,
book
yeah.
that Chuck has about the minting process and about from Delma Romines. I think there's 25 copies. And he actually made them by taking pictures and going and have the pictures made at like a photo mat
Uh-huh.
and put them in there. And then he typed index cards and put them in there. So each book was handmade in like a spiral bound photo album. And it's 3 spiral bound photo albums. And it's got information that you just, I mean, he's got information on die state that you just can't find anywhere. And we're trying to find the source where we can actually reprint it or make copies of it legally, because it's information that people really kind of need. Like, how many coins does a die produce? Delma at one point knew somebody who worked at the mint in the die shop. And he went through, and at the point this book was done, which would be the early 80s, they were trying to get 650,000, or the average was 650,000 coins, I believe, out of a penny die. And now I do know that they strive to get 1 million. Now, do they get 1 million out of every die? No. But that's what their goal is, is to try to get 1 million.
Morning, Chuck.
Good morning.
We were just talking about Delma Romine's book.
Yep. You have to watch when you're talking about the average number of coins per die, because it depends on the denomination, the size of the die.
Right. That's what I was saying, the penny die. I was talking specifically Lincoln cents.
Okay.
I know that half dollars and silver dollars even more, the bigger they are. We were talking about that with the die making process. I was reading about the single squeeze hubbing.
Yeah.
They very rarely get a $50 die to squeeze in one squeeze. And it wasn't until in the 2000s that they managed to, in their words, semi-perfect it to do quarters in one squeeze. So all before that, they were doing multiple squeezes for quarters.
Yeah.
So basically, the bigger the die, the harder it is to make in one squeeze. And of course, the bigger the die, the more area you have. So there's more area to damage. There's, it just wears different. Everything bigger, you can't use the same math.
The question has to go back to, do you anneal the die between squeezes, or did they just squeeze and then lift up and squeeze again, lift up and squeeze again? Because
and that's something that we don't know about the new process. We know in the old process that they annealed. And
because if they did redo the annealing every time, then you have the opportunity to reset the die and it be off and allow for a double die. But if they don't anneal, they don't take the die off of the press between hubbings,
right,
then there's a lot less chance that you're going to have doubling, because the die is still sitting in the same place it was during the last squeeze.
Yep.
So
very interesting. The bigger the die, the more squeezes it takes.
Yeah,
so that you can go back to the 40s. They were probably there's potential that they could have squeezed some of these dies 10 times to get them complete.
That was just above the normal number for a silver dollar die. Silver dollars usually took 8 squeezes, and Lincoln cents usually took 3.
Yeah, and then that's what I'm saying. I'm just going from what I would say with my experience in manufacturing and stuff like that. That it wouldn't be improbable to do 10.
No, not for a larger design. But that's why a lot of times, like on Eisenhower dollars, anytime you've got a doubling on the Eisenhower dollar, typically, if you look at it with enough magnification, you can tell it's tripling or quadrupling or quintupling.
Right.
And with Lincoln cents, usually all you get is doubling, but there are a number of cases where tripling happens.
So I'd like to clarify something. So John Shank says repressing, doesn't that make it high relief? And the answer is no. High relief is a design element. That's something you design into the coin. Now you can get a better strike by doing that, but we're talking about hubs and dies. It doesn't change whether something's high relief or low relief. That is a design element.
to get it within what they call their tolerance.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Which
just
that-
stamping it more than just pressing either a die or a hub more than once doesn't make it high relief. So I just want to make sure that that's very clear.
Oh, and then within tolerance is also a very elusive term because it's very subjective. It's within the tolerance of the person doing it at the time.
Well, no, when they design this stuff, like when they design the machinery, there's a built-in, we accept that this machine's going to move this much just naturally, just from physics.
Oh, I get that. But every time they operate the machine, something different may happen.
Right.
And they may look at it and say, nah, that's within tolerance. We'll let
Right.
it go.
Well, I mean, like I say, when the RAM comes up and down, the RAM probably has lateral movement tolerances that it can move, let's just say 1/10,000th of an inch or 1,000th of an inch. And that's fine because it's got to move, because if it doesn't move, it won't move. It'll wear out fast.
I think there were probably very few double dies that the Mint actually said, yeah, this isn't going to work.
Right.
They
Because
didn't
ultimately,
just go, let it go. It's
ultimately, if you hold it in your hand and it looks good, they're in the business of making coins, you know.
Well,
Do they look at the dies? Yes.
Study every die. They did look at every die because every die is going to make a difference on maintenance of the machine itself. If you've got a problem with the surface, they'll chuck that die and turn around and make another one.
Right.
And stuff like the 55 double die were supposed to have been caught, but weren't. And stuff like the little doubled ears and doubled eyelids and stuff like that we've got, those are probably within within the zone that they're not really going to care. So there's a number of the double dies and repunch mint marks that we collect that the Mint didn't care about. Not that they knew they existed, they were sure that they did. I mean, if you fly a spaceship in a straight direction long enough, you're going to hit something. And so they're going on counting on the fact that they're going to have problems like that, but they don't care because they have to make coins. They can't stop the process for every little mistake.
And it costs a lot of money.
Not really so much. The dies don't cost all that much.
Yeah, the cost of a die is not that much money as far as material goes.
It's the running of the machines.
It would be a labor expense, and that even wouldn't be, because I'm sure they're making, me and Chuck were talking about at least a tray of 20 or 25 at a time.
But especially with cents and nickels, you're losing a combined 15 cents per nickel and cent, or however much is, what does it cost? 11 cents to mint a nickel.
That's if you're only minting nickels, but they mint quarters too. With
no, I know they do make up. They do make their money up on.
Yeah, that's just a government
quarters and half dollars.
That's just a government bean counter's way of saying we're losing money, and it's BS actually.
Though we talk about that with like most errors too. Most errors like die cracks and die chips and stuff that they just don't care. That has to be pretty major for the Mint to pull a die.
Yeah, they usually pull them on failure.
So what Chuck was saying, you have to be, when you say within tolerance, that's thrown around a lot. And I'm not saying you were, Eric. I'm just saying I see it thrown around a lot.
It's a term that should be thrown around a lot.
Well, but you have not unless you know what the tolerance is.
And that's the unfortunate thing, is nobody can seem to say what the tolerances are.
Right.
But I assure you that they have.
There are things that we do know, like die rotations. We know tolerances for those. Certain things. I can't think off. I need more coffee. Can't think off the top of my head. But there are certain things that.
And actually, like the tolerance on the presses, you probably could go to Schuler and get that.
Yeah, like ram pressures and things like that.
We don't know the manufacturer of the press that's doing the hubbing, or you would know that you could get the tolerance there too. But yeah, the Mint doesn't advertise what their tolerances are on any of their machines, and every machine has that. So it's just something that's built into manufacturing. When a company builds a part, they always make a blueprint, and the blueprint will say, this part has to be within this tolerance, plus or minus this size. because they know it can't be perfect. We don't make perfect things. So, coin struck once by a doubled die. Die is doubled. All right. That is correct. The die has the doubling in it.
So there's one other thing that I want to show you guys. Now, there's been some chat about this. So I've already put this in chat. The link that I put in is to the Cherry Picker's Guide, Volume 1, 2, and 3. It's a 3-book set. You can get all 3 of them at one shot. So that's the link. There were a couple people asking. So Stan Horn, there's the link in there for you. I'll make sure it's put in the description of this video as well. So I want to make sure there's that. But there's one other thing that I want to talk about real quick. Or I shouldn't say talk about, show you guys, and that's this. So when they're talking about relief, when they're talking about incuse, when you're talking about a master hub or a master die, it's important to understand what they mean by it's, the relief. So you have the anatomy of the coin, right? The relief there on the image stands above the field or above the surface of the coin, whereas something that's incuse actually is input in. So if you think about this as a wave, right? You're all familiar. We've all taken science classes. If you think about this as a wave, right? The trough, the part that's below, you'll see this dotted line is the surface of the coin. If that is below the surface of the coin, we call it incuse, okay? If it's above the surface of the coin, we call it a relief. Now, the motto could be incuse, it could be relief. The date could be incuse, it could be relief. So when you're talking about it, again, it's important to understand that particular language. The other reason this is extremely important is when we're talking about hubs and dies, you need to understand that when you take the high relief, or the relief in this case, right, and you press it into the other one, it's going to make that indentation, right? So when you talk about the master hub is going to look like the surface of the coin. However, the master die is going to be the reverse of that. So you're going to see everything like pushed in, or if it's supposed to be raised, you're going to see that. The reason that this is important, and I'll let them talk and clarify a little bit more and break it down more, but the reason that this is important, if you understand that a Lincoln cent master die or a Lincoln cent working die it's sunk into the surface. It looks like this maple leaf here, right? So that would be what the master die looked like.
Except it would be mirrored.
It would be mirrored, but the general purpose is raised and lowered is what I'm getting at. We'll talk about it being reversed. But what that means is that when this presses the coin, like when this is stamped, that means that the item on the coin is going to be raised. The reason this is so important is when you're looking at something like a die gouge or a die break or something like that, it's going to help you understand what it is that you're actually seeing on the coin. It's going to help you determine whether it happened during the strike, or whether it happened on the master hub, or whether it happened on the master die. So understanding this element of incuse versus relief, understanding whether something is inherently raised or inside the surface of the item is going to help you determine what one of those elements are on a coin. So as we talk about this stuff and as they kind of go through these things, they talk about this stuff all the time. I want you guys just to understand that this is something that you have to get into your mind. That when you look at the surface of a coin, that's more what the hub is going to look like, okay? Whereas the die is going to be incuse and reverse. So they can break that down a little bit more, but I just want you guys to be aware of that. Because as you hear them talk, we hear them talk about the ram and the push and what's happened with this. You guys need to understand this basic set first. Okay, so that's something I want you to I wanted to share. And Chuck fell off. Sorry, I didn't even notice you fell off.
It's okay.
He fell off. Oh,
Yeah.
someone catch him.
I disabled my mic and I thought I was muting myself so I could sneeze, and when I disabled my mic, I fell out.
He had to sneeze.
That was a
God
hell of a
bless you.
sneeze. He
That's
blew
stupid.
himself right out of the chat.
Yeah, but you didn't hear it because, well, I wasn't here.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I heard everything Frosty said, though, and it is important to understand the negatives and positives as you're going through the stages of creating dies that create coins, because this is, you just have to imagine what would happen if I pressed this into clay. If I press this into clay, what is it going to look like? So you think about it, if you're going to press a die into clay, it has to be in cube and reversed, so that when you press it into clay, it comes out in relief and forward facing, or the right way around, not
Right.
reversed, forward. And I can hear somebody slamming something around, and that's probably Paula playing with her dice.
No, I'm searching.
No, it wasn't me this time.
It's me putting a coin in a tube. I got to find something to.
I'm not playing with my dies this morning. I was
Quit using H.E. Harris tubes.
I was too busy playing with other things.
You're welcome, Stan. I'm glad
That's
you picked that
probably-
up.
It's probably an H.E. Harris tube you're playing with, Eric, right?
I don't think so. It doesn't have a Harris cap on it. Not to say that it isn't. It is.
Flip it over and look at the bottom of it.
Product Research Corporation.
Oh, well, there's another one that goes on my no-hit list.
Yeah.
I throw those things away. Every time I get a collection that has Harris tubes in it, I throw the Harris tubes out. Mickey usually digs them out of the trash and takes them home, but
What is it
I,
about Harris tubes you don't like?
okay, first, the caps don't stay on. When you screw the cap all the way down and you keep screwing the cap, it'll screw all over
It
again.
unscrews itself.
And typically, when you put coins in a Harris tube, no matter what the denomination is, the bottom coin sticks inside the tube, because the bottom of the tube, it's tapered so much as you go down. The bottom of the tube is actually too small for the circumference of the coin. And they're just crap. You end up getting a really nice 1934 D gem red roll of coins in a Harris tube, and you have to slam the damn tube on your desk to get the last coin to come out.
Oh,
So-
okay. Now I'm understanding why you heard that sound and you're like, oh, I know what that is.
That must be a Harris tube.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
That was just an empty tube, and they were hitting the bottom of the tube. They've quieted down since.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I don't support H.E. Harris tubes, and if they want to sue me, they can, but they need to make better products.
Yeah, their tubes they're terrible. The coins stick in the bottom of them too.
The best tubes out there that I know of, besides Anco, which is like the old time standard, are the BCW tubes. I really like BCW's tubes, and they're cheaper and they're better than most of the other tubes out there. And I don't know exactly what it is that makes them so much better, but they really are. And the Marcus tubes are really good too. But I
And
digress.
actually, those are the most available brands nowadays.
Yeah, I mean the Anco is not quite so available anymore because they're not carried by everyone. I still see them around some, but the Harris tubes are the most common ones, and they're the crappiest ones available.
Trying to look at the ones that I bought. Well, I think because I think they're BCW tubes. Yeah,
They're
that's
in a
the ones
black
that I just
box,
bought were
yeah.
BCW tubes.
Black box, yeah. Black box, and I've actually seen some of them that have a blue cap, but most of them have a clearish cap, just like everything else.
Yeah,
No-
mine's translucent.
Yeah. Clearish and translucent. Same language, different word, right?
Exactly. We have that a lot in this hobby.
Well, we make up words all the time just to suit ourselves. Like,
Okay.
yeah, like unkish, and now we've actually begun to use AU-ish.
A U-ish, like bifurcated plane.
Yes, yes. This one's kind of AU-ish. Take a look. AU-ish, I guess, it would be an AU details coin that has a very flat surface, meaning it's probably been dipped at one point in time, or it's a XF coin that is nice and sharply struck that you don't want to call XF because you ruin the value of what you think it is.
Ooh, what's
So
that?
you can call it AU-ish and use an XF coin and charge AU money for it.
Well, I use ish a lot when I'm using my horrible grading skills. My non-existent grading skills.
Well,
I'm right there
that's how
with you,
it came
Paula.
up,
It's
is
ish.
we were
It's a
rifling through a bunch of
62-ish.
coins.
What?
We were rifling through a bunch of coins, and it's just like, that one's AU-ish, and it's like, well, is it or isn't it? It's like, well, I didn't look at it long enough to actually say yes or no.
Ish it. It's ish.
Ish, and then it stuck. It actually is a good term to me.
I like it.
Yeah.
I have a picture to share.
Okay, pull her up.
Ida is doing well, Kraken. I talked to her yesterday.
Nice.
We're talking about mint tolerance here.
It's a crack-ish.
No, it's a Kraken.
It's a crackish Kraken.
That's on the back of an 09 VDB. Naturally, I've been taking pictures of 09s. You can also tell because of the planchet impurities that cause the wood grain.
Yes,
Those are
that's
common
how-
on 09. But I flipped it over looking for markers, and I'm like, oh, there's a marker right there.
There's a great marker.
Yeah, there's a marker. And it's kind of like a river on a map. If you look at a map of the Mississippi River, and then you look at some drawing somebody traced as part of the Mississippi River, you can eventually match the two up into exact location. Well, if you look at another coin that has this same die crack, there's no way you can mistake them because of the shape of the crack itself. That's something to make acknowledgement of when you're going through things. Die cracks do not change shape. They only grow. They get bigger and bigger and bigger, but they don't change.
And it can't be close.
So
It
that
has to be exact.
that little curved spot right there that kind of looks almost like a turtle dove sideways with its head up here and its wing down here and a tail up here, you will be able to see that particular turtle dove type impression. No matter how much this crack grows, it will stay there. It may have a big, blob comes out of it in one direction or the other. But the important thing is that crack will always have this shape. It'll always come up over the rim like this. Even if you have a VF coin, you're going to be able to see parts of the crack that are in the recesses, and it will always be there. So a die crack is it's pretty much a perfect marker to use for stuff.
So what about, real quick, so throw a wrench in this for people. What about when they repair a die?
The crack will still, most of the crack will still be there. They would have to, it would have to be a pretty shallow crack for them to be able to obliterate a crack in a die.
And it would show back up again.
Yeah, and it would end up showing back up.
I've never seen evidence that a crack has ever been filled in and reused.
No, they wouldn't fill it in. I was being sarcastic.
Okay. Yeah, I've never seen a die repaired from a die crack.
Mm-mm.
And if you look very carefully,
shallow.
You'll see the beginning stages of another crack right there. That's just very beginning stages of another die crack.
So if that
They would
one
have
could,
to get down deeper in the die. They would have to abrade it deeper in the die than the crack goes.
A crack is a stress fracture in metal.
Yeah,
The crack cannot be repaired so that the crack isn't there.
right.
And it would be too expensive and too time consuming to try to take cracks out of a die when they could simply replace the die. So I don't know of any case where it's ever been proven that cracks have been repaired
Mm-mm.
in coining dies.
okay, so this is another great example. This is another great reason to go back to that original graphic that I showed you guys here just a little bit ago. Now, when you see this, when you think about the surface of the die, okay, this happened on the die. And so when you see this, you would expect that crack, which it goes into the die, would leave a raised area on a coin.
Correct.
Yeah, the metal of the plant, it fills in,
Right.
fills up that space.
You
Right.
can
And-
imagine a die crack being like a sidewalk crack. If you've seen a crack in a sidewalk, it looks almost like an opened up lightning bolt, where it's got all kinds of directions and fissures and different things, and it's always sharp on the edges because you can't fill in any part of a crack once it's been opened up. They don't fill in sidewalk cracks, they're just there. Now take a bunch of silly putty and stick it in your sidewalk crack and
Stick
pull
it
it
in your
out.
crack.
Don't put silly putty in your crack, okay? Okay.
I'm being very careful here, and you're still in the gutter.
Yeah, I went in further.
I apologize. I'm gonna go get some coffee.
I just went to the O'Reilly's commercial. Check your dipstick, Jimmy.
Yeah, right. So this crack, when you fill it with silly putty and pull the silly putty off, and you look at the silly putty, you're going to have a raised line that's in the same shape as the crack, and that's what happens when you mint a coin with a cracked die.
Now, the reason this is important to understand when we're talking about a die, if this die crack, okay, if this wasn't on the die, but it was actually on the working hub, then you would see something totally different.
Look, a crack on a hub would be indented into the hub, which would be a raised line on the die, which would therefore be a recessed line on the coin. You just take everything, you flip it around backwards, whether it stands up or is recessed, or what shape it is going to be exactly opposite when you go from a hub to a die to a coin.
Right, and that's why it's really
Awesome.
important to understand why when you look at these items, it's important to understand that what you're seeing where on the item, right? So if you're looking at a coin and you see this and you see that it's raised, that means it would have had to have been indented or like incuse on the die itself, right? So this helps you kind of go back and understand where something happened. You're not going to have something on a die that's raised that's not a design element. That means that something would have
can.
had to have happened.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
Okay, name that. Because I'm not. How would-
Hubbed in debris. Hubbed in debris. A crack on the hub. An imperfection
Well,
in the
no,
hub.
but okay, but that's what I was just trying to get to, Paula. So that raised thing on the die. So the only way that raised item on the die would have been there is if it was on the hub.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's the point that I was trying to make. So, because you have to look at how did it get there, right? You have to go back to the basic piece. If a die is the reverse image of the hub and it's raised, that means there would have had to have been hubbed in debris, a scratch, or something on that master hub in order for that element to have been raised on the die. So this is why understanding that little wave pattern that I showed you a minute ago is so important, is because you're able now to look at the element at the coin and go, oh, it must have happened here. This is why when you watch Lifecoin Q&A or you watch Copper Coins or you watch other channels that do this kind of stuff, Blue Ridge or whatnot, you'll see them say, oh, this was Master Hub. And they know because they know how it would have got there. And it helps them to determine, how that element would have occurred. This is why, another reason, it's so hard to tell whether something is raised or incuse on a image, right? This is why you have to know that a specific element is either state quarters, for instance. You look at the EC. Remember the EC everybody thought was a double die, including me? that was actually an incuse element. But when you look at a photo of it, it looked like it was raised above the surface of the coin. So understanding the design element of the coin is also extremely important.
There are a few things that can be raised on a die that wouldn't be on a hub, like mint goo.
All right. I was trying to find in 1955, there's a hub that they must have polished because they're scratching right around Liberty, that when you see it on the coin, it's incuse. It's in
For
the,
the most part,
yeah,
it's raised.
but I
on
can't
the-
find a picture of it. I'm looking through stuff right now.
Yeah, Kraken, we were discussing something. We'll get there. Just be patient. I want to go to Silver Drip Stacker. So curious what happens to the dies when they're no longer used.
Oh.
They get wiped out, like the design elements get
Canceled.
taken off. They get canceled, and then you can buy them. You can actually purchase those.
Here, I will show you. Okay.
No, Papa Giorgio, we're seeing chat. I'm not going to stop in the middle of what I'm saying to answer a question. I'm going to finish my thought. Again, would they use that hub to make dies if it's cracked? Yeah. So there are instances where you'll see a master hub crack, and you'll see that go across. You guys have more examples than I would.
I don't have anything that would be damaged on a hub.
Well, I would certainly hope that you would not see a master hub crack.
Yeah. Well, like I say, the only thing I know that I can think of offhand is that it's 1955. It's on the S, the D. There's incuse die scratches around Liberty, and you can tell that because it's on a multitude of different dies.
I'm looking.
The only thing I can think of as far as hub damage.
Oh, you're talking about reduction lathe?
No. I'm talking about lateral die scratches. Somebody took like a wire brush or something to it.
To a master hub?
Not necessarily a master hub, to a working hub, probably.
Oh yeah, no.
And you can see the scratches because the scratches are the opposite of how they should be.
Right.
They're incuse. They're not in relief.
Right.
So,
Let's see here.
and they're, like I say, you can find them on all sorts of dies. San Francisco, probably Philadelphia, but we rarely search 54 Philadelphia coins for some reason.
Yeah, typically there is only one master hub, and that you better hope that is pretty perfect.
Well, technically,
That's
the one master hub's the Galvano.
the Galvano makes the reduction right on the
Yeah.
reduction lathe. Yeah, it makes your master hub. Except we don't have that anymore.
Right. It's a computer,
I really want to go
computer
see
screen
the
now.
new. I really want to go see. I really want to go see the new presses in action.
There's a video from the Mint, U.S. Mint video that shows it.
Of the new one?
Yep, that's where they show the making of the die. It's actually done on a CNC milling machine from a computer. And they even talk about that on some of the metals and some of the limited production coins, that all the dies are actually made that way. They're not even hubbed anymore.
I just sat here and searched 3 rolls to find this. It's not very uncommon. It's just that I don't see it all the time. But this is a trench that is cut into the hub around the design for design strengthening. You can see that it's actually sunken in on the coin.
Right.
That is not something done to a die, because it would have to be raised on the die. So it would have to have been raised up on the die in order to be sunken in on the coin. And you don't do that. You're always taking metal away. You're not adding any metal. So in order for this to show up as entrenched on the coin, it would have to be entrenched on a hub. And so this was probably a strengthened design on a working hub that was hubbed into a number of dies that came out with this goofy little outline around Lincoln. And it happens very commonly from 1935 to about 1939. This particular coin is it's a 35D. And it goes most of the way around. You can see it in different spots. You have to turn the coin a certain way to be able to see it in my lighting. But let's see if I can see it back here. Yeah, it's there too. And it kind of, you can see where they had a graver tool and they were actually carving into the hub, and then they kind of stopped here, and then they changed directions and started again here and keep going around. But the entire bust is outlined with this little thing here, this little trench.
So Wiles has that as ODV 015, trenching, full trench around the head from 35 to 52, it looks like.
Yeah, it's not correct. But
Well, and then there's another one in 43, they did it too.
yeah,
Yeah, you see it on the steel sense a lot.
Yeah.
43s can be kind of strong, but you can see here where the line simply stopped. It stopped here, and then they picked it up again over here. Why this part isn't done, I don't know. They just missed it. There's not a scientific reason for everything. I mean, sometimes they just miss stuff, and it just goes without notice.
I think that
Went on lunch.
60s that they put it like on where the hair and the forehead meet. You always kind of see it on some of the dies.
A what?
There's like a divot or a trench where the hair comes off the forehead and meets the forehead. Some of the coins have it right there, and it's just in that area.
Right. And then, I mean, it's just used to strengthen the design wherever the design needs to be strengthened. I do not. If it was something that lasted from 1930 whatever to 1952, it would have been a master hub issue, and I don't think this is master hub. This is working die or working hub. I mean, so I don't subscribe to the thought that this is a design change. Basically, I don't see it that way.
Do they still make the master hub, master die, working hub, working dies, or do they bypass that step nowadays?
I think they bypassed the master hub. And somebody, was it you, Eric, that was saying that on certain things they just directly?
Yeah, they directly use the mill, like a coin. They're making 50,000 coins.
Yeah.
They'll just make the dies as needed off the CNC mill. They won't even do the hubbing process at all.
But for typical coin production,
They're still doing it.
they're doing all of the same steps, except the way that they hub the individual dies is different now.
Well,
And of course, there's no die reduction anymore.
yeah, there's no master hub.
Well, there
Right.
are master hubs, but they're carved using a CNC.
CNC, okay.
They're not reduced.
They're not reduced, right?
A hand lathe.
Yeah, okay.
So the steps are still there. They are just performed in a different manner because technology has advanced.
And it wouldn't surprise me in the next 10 years for them just to make all the dies on CNC mills, because they probably can make them faster and better without any errors at all on a CNC mill.
That would kind of suck.
I know. It makes you quiver.
That would suck.
Just had a dog stick his nose in my crotch. Come on, dog.
Oh my gosh, Shermie.
Yeah, he wants attention. He wants to.
How'd that smell?
Does he ever not want attention?
And no, he always wants attention.
Yeah, he's a purebred.
Yeah.
Aw.
I was looking. Oh, here we go. I have a roll of 43D sitting in front of me. I can find the 43 trench because they're usually a little bit stronger.
Is that pretty common?
For me to have a 43D roll on my desk.
No, I know that's common. For you to have 30, 40, 50 rolls on your desk is common.
For me to have a 43D roll on my desk that I didn't know was there, that's also common.
So did they do this trenching too? The way Wiles describes it, they would have had to have done it to multiple working hubs.
Then they might have. That's possible because they're
Wow.
trying to add volume.
Like Chuck said,
to
it
the
wouldn't
die.
have, if they didn't do it to multiple, it certainly wouldn't have lasted through multiple, working dies, making multiple working dies through those years.
Okay, well, I'll bust the theory right now
Okay.
because I just found coins that prove it. If this 1943 was actually a design change that was done that needs to be counted as a different design, this one might fit. This is a 43D. That might fit because it has an engraving. It's engraved into a hub all the way around, and you can actually prove it is because this little spot right below the bottom lip is not supposed to have a hard angle right there, but it does because of the way it was carved in. So it's not part of the original design as cut using the reduction lathe, but it is
Right.
there. So there's that. Okay, but then we move to another coin. This is a crappy coin, but it's a good example. Where did it go? Okay, where is it? If it's part of the design, why isn't it there? Nobody knows, right? It's because they did it in some areas on some hubs. They didn't do it in areas on other hubs. They're a hub repair. It is not part of the design used for that year.
And that little brow, that little hair thing you showed, right when you went up.
Oh, that little
right
guy.
there. That goes up into the 60s. That they cut into that right there.
Yes and no. The practice does, but I don't think it came from the same master all the way into the 60s.
No, I agree. I'm just saying that they have done it in
In
specific
order-
regions.
In order for this to be an ODV, which is an obverse die variety,
Right,
it would have to have been in a master and used for years.
right.
And
Like
this
the die
simply,
scratches.
it's simply not. These are individual by the working hub. I was trying to get it just right so you could see this one little trench and how it continues on. So you got this little guy and it continues on out into the field accidentally, and then they started a new line here. So it's basically they just carved it where they saw it fit. There happens to be a die crack over here too. So and there's one on the forehead. That's a die.
Now, I might be wrong about this, but wasn't Longacre famous for doing that to dies or to hubs?
Longacre
Engraving around letters and stuff like that.
Longacre did it to the dies. He did it on the die part because they're raised on coins. It almost looks like a double die going all the way around
Right.
the letter. So it's going to be raised. This is incuse. This is sunken in. So this is done to hubs. There's your difference right there. You've got your die crack here. It's raised on a coin. You can see that this is a raised line. And then you have your hub engraving, which is sunken in on the coin. And therein lies your difference. I can't get them both in focus at the same time because there's so much difference in how high up they are.
Yeah, that's a
Makes
great
it-
example, Chuck, because you've got two elements that happen on a die that one couldn't have happened on a die. It would have had to have happened on the hub.
Because in order for this to happen on a die, the lines on the die would have to have been somehow raised, like with a bead of solder or something like that, and that simply doesn't happen. They just don't do that.
Yeah, they're not going to solder they're not going to solder a die.
Right. So this is sunken in on the die, so it had to have happened as being sunken in on a hub. So it was engraved, it was carved into the hub. But this right here is a raised line. All these are raised lines. They're something that happened as damage on the die. These are scratches or gouges, whichever you want to call them. They're the same thing. And then this is a die crack. This is through use of the die. This is in some form or fashion to repair the die or to clean the die, polish it. And this is a repair of the design on a hub. And then you see die scratches out in the field out here too. That's part of cleaning a die.
Right. And
Usually-
again, the reason that this is important is because as you're searching these things, and you'll see this, if you guys ever go to a reveal and you're watching Chuck and Eric and them go through this, or you're watching Paula and Livecoin go over what an item is, they can look at it and say, okay, well, that happened on the hub. They know this because number one, they do this a lot, right? They look at it, they understand what the design elements on that coin are supposed to be. They look at a bunch of these, which is really important, right? Understand what a normal coin looks like, and then you'll be able to understand when something's not normal. But if you understand where something happened, then you can explain it away. So for instance, when we talk about Paula's favorite thing, which is the 5 on the cheek of the dime,
I thought the extra V was her favorite.
the extra V, right? Okay, so the extra V is it's the exact same thing. Where and how would that have happened, right? And so one is raised, the other one's in Q's. I know Paula's like, ooh, I'm so glad I'm not there. How would that have happened? And if you're like, well, that doesn't make sense, then you need to kind of you kind of need to understand that general makeup. If you cannot explain it, like, if you're like, well, it doesn't make sense, like there's no way that would have happened, then it's likely damage. So really understanding, now granted, not every case, there are some special circumstances and things that happen like strike throughs and things of that nature that are errors that occur within the process. But you can explain those, right? You can say where that occurred. You can say when that happened, what was happening during that time frame, and you can explain it. If you can't, most likely it's going to be damage. That's what I really like about what he's showing here when you're talking about parking lot coins. How in the world would you have all these raised specs on a master die? It doesn't happen. So, so anyway, just, it's important for you guys to know. That's why I wanted to do that graphic. And then Chuck, thank you for showing this, because this one coin really kind of shows how you have different elements on two different points. So I appreciate it. Oh, the spitting eagle. Yeah, that's a lovely one too.
Yeah, this should be an educational piece for the website. I'm going to keep this coin, even though it's ugly. It still shows everything it needs to.
Well, yeah, it's a really great example of what you would have. You can explain both die and hub. You can show how, I think it's a great piece. This really is a great example of a coin that really helps you understand the differences between where something occurred.
I'm going to keep looking through this roll. And if I find another one from this particular die pair, you can do a giveaway and I'll mail the coin to somebody.
No, that's awesome, dude.
I don't know if I have another one from this die in here, but I'm going to go through and look at it while you guys are talking. I'll be listening. I'm right here.
Yeah, that's very cool. So is there anybody in chat? So the people that are watching, is there anybody in chat who is looking at this and I'm like, I just don't see it? Because if you don't, then let us know. Larry Downing, drinking from a fire hydrant over here. Love all the knowledge. Okay, well, this is exactly what I wanted to hear. So let's kind of, again, how do I say this?
Just remember your mouth will only fit so much water. So when you get to a point where it's all just confusion, don't try retaining any of it. Just listen to it. When you hear it enough times, you'll start retaining it.
Or just let it spray you in the face and cool you down.
Right. You don't have to drink it all.
What we can do, and I can break this down even more, and I wish, and Paula lost power, so she's not able to come up. And unfortunately, she didn't have her dies. What I'm going to do, I'm going to work with one of the other folks in chat. I think he's in chat. If he's not in chat, he will be tomorrow morning. And I'm going to have him print me some stuff up, and I will go through and I will make, and I know Paula has like these 3D printed dies and she does the Play-Doh and stuff, but I'm going to actually start breaking stuff down to like their simplest piece. Explain one thing and say, this is what this is, and then not say any more. And then once you guys are able to really understand and know what that piece is, then we go to the next one, right? And, you know, we talk about this. I mean, Chuck and I have talked about this. When you're learning, either it doesn't matter whether it's IT, it doesn't matter whether it's coins, doesn't matter whatever. There's a point to where it's like, okay, I'm not getting anything from this. So we'll take these to the smaller elements. What I really like about this coin, so like this coin really does show why you have something raised on the surface of the coin and why you have something embedded into the coin while there's something incuse on the coin. And so this one coin really is a great example, being able to understand. So we'll break this out a little bit more. We'll continue to flesh this piece out. And if you guys want me to, I will pull up paint and and God, you guys are going to have to bear with me because my art skills, I wish Bifrost was here. I will just draw lines. I'm going to share this. And I want to be very clear. I am not an artist, okay? Bifrost is the artist. Chuck is an artist. I am not. Okay, so when we're talking about this particular thing, we got the little eraser. I'm going to erase this piece here. Okay, so we have a master. Let's do this. Okay, all right, so we have a master die. The master design is here, and then you're going to have, let's just put a little star in here. Okay, so this is the relief, okay? The area around this is the field. And so this is the thing that is raised. And I'm going to put, I'm going to do a paint here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do an R. Okay, so this is raised. Okay. Okay, so that's going to be raised on the coin. And so let's say that we get a die. This is a die. Or no, this is a hub. Haha, I fixed it. Okay. So this is a hub. So this is raised. This is the field. That's the flat part. This is the rim. And then that area right there on the edge is the edge. Okay. So when we're looking at this, if there was a scratch, okay, on the hub, what would you expect it to look like on a coin? Okay, so this is a question for chat. This is a hub. This is raised. If there was a scratch, what would you expect it to look like on the coin?
It would be really small.
It would be really small. But would it be raised or would it be sunk in? It'd be embedded. Okay. Siren's like, I don't know. Sarika's raised. Sunk in. Okay, so now I'm going to draw. Again, I can't even draw straight lines with my mouse. So when you have the raised surface of the die, okay, this is the star. When you mint the coin is going to be the exact same as the hub. Okay, so the hub's going to make the die, which is going to be the opposite of the hub, and then the coin is going to be the opposite of the die. So if it's raised on the hub, it's going to be incuse on the die. It's going to be raised on the coin. If it's scratch, it's going to be incuse on the hub. It's going to be raised on the die, which means that it's going to be sunk in or incuse on the coin. So the answer to this particular one is that it would be sunk in. It would actually be in the coin. So you would actually see this. We'll go back to Chuck's coin. it'd be like the outline of the face. It would actually be sunk in to the coin. This is why when he's talking about them going around this and creating that little trough, okay, so as he's creating that little trough all the way around, this is why when you see that as sunk in. Thank you, Chuck. You see that as sunk in here because they've actually. Go ahead.
Do a quick explanation. The minted coin should look just like the hub.
Yes.
So anything that's on that hub, if it's scratched in, it's going to be scratched in on the coin. If it's raised up, it will be raised up on the coin.
Now, when we're talking dies, it's the opposite, okay?
That's correct.
So it's important to understand most of the time we're talking about doubled dies, okay? But you will hear it's hub doubling or master hub doubling. The connotation of that is different, okay? But there's something to understand about this. So if you see a scratch, so again, we have this is the coin, okay? And again, I'm not an artist, so bear with me. And then you have this element here. This is the star, okay? This would be the star here, and that's raised above the surface of the coin. And again, I should be doing this in different colors, so it makes sense. But if you scratch,
Saying it so the people can see it.
say again.
You're not presenting.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Thank you.
So again, let's do this. Okay, so I'm going to erase this, and then we'll come back and we'll do this again. Now that you can see this. Okay, so we have that. That's a scratch. So when you look at the surface of a coin, so you have the surface here. This little indentation here, right? That would be like your scratch, or actually it would be like, oops, sorry. Like that would be your scratch, okay? And so, and again, I'm not an artist, so bear with me, okay? When you see this, so when you turn that over, so if you were to flip this across, so if I take this and I do the selection tool, and I copy and paste that, if I were to rotate this and flip this over like this, now this is what you're going to see on the hub, and this is what you would see on the die. It's the exact same thing. It is reversed, but you would see that on that, you would see that it's raised. Okay, here it's a scratch on the hub, it's in cuse. But on the die, it would be a raised element. It's the exact same thing. You guys saw me copy and paste it. It's the exact same thing. You just see that it's raised. Now, when you take, and let me erase this, and I know this is probably confusing because I'm not a very good artist, and so you're like, what the hell are all these lines? So this is going to be the hub. This is the die. Now, and then you have the coin. Okay, and everybody's going to laughing at me because my artist is so on point. So the coin is going to be the exact same as the hub. Okay, so when you look at this, you'll notice that it's reversed. Now, technically, if I'm not mistaken, this would be backwards, right? This would be flipped the other direction.
Yes.
Yeah, so this technically should be this way. So that technically should look like this. So when you stamp it in and then you look at it, it would be backwards. It would be the mirror image. Okay. I know Bifrost should be my illustrator. I know. I'm terrible at this. But the point is, say again?
I says you had one job.
Well, but
Get
I'm
Bifrost
hoping
to
that
be
it
your
makes sense to
illustrator.
people. I mean, is this more confusing?
No, it's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you look at the hub and you look at the coin, you're going to see that this scratch is embedded, right? This is what we're looking at right here. Okay, and that's going to be the exact same thing. You'll see that. So when we come back over here and we look at, Chuck's looking at something else. It's okay. There you go. When you're looking at this, you'll see this particular piece here is embedded. Now, we have this, which is the die crack. So if the die crack happened here, which was on the die, then you would have this little piece that came down, let's say down here. Okay, oops, I'm on the cutting tool. Now you would have this little piece that happened, which was here. Okay, so this would be the die scratch or the die crack or something that happened on the die. Now, this would show up as a raise image over here. Okay, because again, you're talking reverse. So now you would have this would be raised on the surface of the coin. Now, if it didn't happen on the hub, and you could see this across multiple coins, and it wasn't on every single coin from that die, you know it didn't happen on the hub. You know it had to happen on the die, okay? And because it happened on the die, you can look at the element on that particular coin and go, oh, that's raised on the surface of the coin, i.e. this die crack right here on Lincoln's forehead, okay? And you can say, oh, that must have been a scratch on the die. And this is how you explain this stuff away. And this is how you kind of look at it and go, oh, okay, now I'm beginning to understand the general elements. Now, I'm going to work on putting something together that's a little bit easier to understand, but I think this kind of should give you a little bit of an idea of what happens when you're talking about something happening either on a hub or on a die. Now, let's say that you have a coin and the coin has a little line in it and it's not on any die. It's not on any hub. It's not something that's been struck through. Then most likely it's going to be what? Damage. Okay. If you can't explain it, you can't find it, you can't research it, it's either going to be something like a struck through or something like that, which you can explain. But if you have a bunch of different elements here, then it's most likely going to be damage to the coin. Now, Chuck told me something when I was first starting that has kind of stuck with me, and I don't know if you remember the interview that we first did, Chuck.
Sort of.
But he told me that, remember, the largest category of items when it comes to coins are damage. Not errors, not variety, not the coins themselves. Damage. It's the largest single category because there's more damage that occurs to a coin than your varieties planned or otherwise. Did I say that correctly, Chuck?
Yes,
Okay.
you did.
And so that's really stuck with me because when you look at stuff, a majority of what people are going to see is going to be damage. Okay. So hopefully that was beneficial. I'm not the artist. I probably could use Bifrost drawing the stuff on her tablet and doing stuff. I'm actually going to probably work with her to do some illustrations for me. But anyway, I hope this was a little bit beneficial. I'm not going to talk about any more than that right now when it comes to this particular element. Now we'll just kind of look through coins and talk about different elements and seeing how that stuff works. Did that make any sense to you guys? Did that help anybody? Siren, that would have been a Cuban coin, by the way.
Let me
Okay.
see if this, yeah, that did change. Okay, good. So now I can more or less show off what we're going to be giving away. You can see my little coin moving around there.
Yes.
Okay, this one does have, go, stop it. Sorry, my dog's right next to me licking my carpet. This one has a die crack running right up here, It's also got part of the trenching. It's got some die scratches on it. It's got some rust on the die showing up as little pivot marks, little bumps on the coin because they're going to be little pits on the die. So it's got all kinds of different issues that a lot of 1943 Lincoln cents have. It's not the prettiest coin in the world, but I am offering it up. And the way I'm going to offer this up to everyone as I'm watching the chat, can we do like a general geography question, and who gets it right is the first to get it right is the one who gets it?
Absolutely. Do you want, what we'll do is I'll do it like we do trivia. You can either do the one, do you want the first person, or do you want anybody who can guess the answer? Then we do a random number picker.
Anybody who can guess the answer, we'll do a random number picker.
Okay, easy
And
peasy.
I'll ask the question. I know what the answer is, so here goes. Anybody who, in like the next minute or so, can respond with the answer to this question will be put in the random number picker to win this coin, and I'll mail it to you. Name the first United States state that when you go through them in alphabetical order, it has more than one word. That's right, go. Frosty says. Okay, we're taking answers now. John Schenk is not correct. Papa Giorgio is not correct. And I'm crazy is not correct. We're getting some correct answers. Stick these back in the tube here to get rid of it so I don't knock them over. You pick when we stop, Frosty.
Okay, I'll give it a second.
You can regress. It's not a one-time and done thing.
I'll give it about 30 seconds.
Okay.
You guys know, have you ever heard of the Numismatics? Does that sound familiar to you?
Yes.
United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, Republic Dominican, Cuba, Caribbean, Greenland, El Salvador, too, Puerto Rico, Jamaica. Yeah, anyway, I know this one, and then the capitals, and then the states, United States in alphabetical order, and all of those. So I just sang myself a song to come up with the answer.
Well, how about that?
See, cartoons can teach you something back when they were actually educational.
Right.
All
It's
right.
like,
Stop is in.
Conjunction, junction, what's your function?
I loved the Animaniacs. They were so much fun. Yakko, Warner, and Dot.
All right, the correct answer is New Hampshire. New Hampshire is the first state in alphabetical order that has more than one word in its name.
All right, so we're going to make this number generator. We're going to put this to, I'll say 15. We'll generate number 2.
Number 2 is the one generated?
That's Inkman. Well, hold on. New Hamel. I think he was trying to say New Hampshire. Probably hit enter. Southern Coin Hunter is probably the one that.
Yeah, Southern Coin Hunter. I would call that. He probably meant to do HAM and then a dot because the L is right above the dot.
Yeah, I would agree. So Southern Coin Hunter.
Anyone who got it close. So we're going to do this coin's going to go to Southern Coin Hunter, but there's more. I've got another one.
So Southern Coin Hunter, I want you to do Is it coppercoins.com?
CD@coppercoins.com.
Okay, email him there.
Yep, CD@coppercoins.com. You can email me, email your address, let me know who you were in here if your name is not the same. So Southern Coin Hunter, you'll have to tell me that you are Southern Coin Hunter.
Oh, hold on. Victoria, you're right. Victoria got that. That's VRC. It is not Southern Coin Hunter. I did miss Victoria.
But you said number 2, correct?
Yeah, I was number 1 with New Hampshire,
Oh, okay.
and she was
I
number
didn't know you were
2.
counting yourself.
Heck yeah, because you didn't tell me what the answer was.
No, I did not. You had to figure it out with your little song. Okay, so Victoria.
Victoria, there you go. Yeah, no problem.
And just for the mix-up, this second coin right here, the one I've got on screen right now with the little spots on it, it also has little issues. And I'll take photos of these and print the photos out and write for you what it is so that you'll get a good idea. But this one I'll send to Southern Coin Hunter.
Oh, that's awesome, Chuck.
Okay.
That's awesome.
So we've got that taken care of.
Now, folks, I want you guys to understand something. So Victoria and Southern Coin Hunter, maintain these close, right? This is something you guys, you know who Chuck is, right? Take this piece and really utilize this as an educational piece. So put this aside. Don't throw it in your change bucket. This is something that you remember. Like, this is something that is, especially you. And I don't. This is me. Okay, I'm a person who really believes in. Oh, what happened? Oh, I just lost. He just stopped sharing his camera.
Stopped sharing.
I am big on listening to people who really know what's going on, and when they offer and give something to you that explains it, keep it. Right? Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Eric. When you write that stuff out, I would sign it.
Oh, you want me to sign it?
I think it would be cool because this is something that you guys are going to get a piece that Chuck actually walked through and said, this is where and this is how this did it. So you were actually there. You can relay it back to the particular live stream you were in. It's good memorabilia, but the coin itself isn't of great value, but the teaching lesson from it can be substantial. So make sure you keep these. It's important. Southern Coin Hunter says, I will use it in my videos. I have an envelope for coins like that. That's awesome. I have a jar with 1,200 steel cents in it. I guess I need to go through them now. I didn't know there was anything to look for on them.
Oh, there's a lot more than this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, there's some good stuff to look for.
So if you have steel cents, I'm going to pull this up real quick. You guys, I have given you this 1,000 times, and I'm going to give it to you 1,000 more. If you go to coppercoins.com, and I always click on the wrong link, and you come to variety die search, I do this so that you guys can see a little better. Over here, if you look just above the 39,519 photos, click on that variety die search. Enter in over here where it says 1943. You can see it auto-populates because I've pulled this up quite a number of times. And then just scroll down here. You determine whether you're looking at Philadelphia or San Francisco. You can leave them all in. If you're looking for repunch mint marks, then pull repunch mint mark. If you're looking for double die obverse reverse, you can do that. If you want all of them, then just leave it the way it is and then hit submit search. And this will pull up and it will tell you what the year is. It'll tell you what the mint mark is. And it'll tell you what the element is. And so you can look through and see all of those various items that happen. Now, that's a really cool one right there. 1943 1DO10.
There's a lot of them, a lot of really nice ones.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite ones. One DO13. But the big boy, the bad boy, is it 3?
Philadelphia Mint. Which
Phil-
one are you talking about,
It's Philadelphia 3, right?
though?
One.
No, Philadelphia number 1.
Philadelphia 1. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So you come over here, you're going to do double die obverse. You're going to come over here, you're going to say Philadelphia, and then you can submit your search. Ah, ha, ha, look at this bad boy. Oh, that's such a beautiful thing. So there's a ton of stuff that you can find in 1943. And if you go to Copper Coins, Variety Vista, Wexler, you can use all 3 of them to kind of look at and see what you have. I use all 3. It's better to use all 3 just to double check against the photos. But anyway, it's a great resource. Go check it out. I'm sending you that now. It's cd@coppercoins.com.
It's cd@coppercoins.com.
Yep, just like that, Victoria. Okay, so send Chuck an email, let him know where you won that, and he will get that out. Chuck, I appreciate you doing that. That's awesome, because it really was a great example.
It was. The other 2 that I've got here that are the giveaways are not quite as good, but they're still pretty decent.
Yeah, but again, it's something that people can look at it. They can really understand what it is. They can see it, and again, it's you showed them what it is, so now they actually have it. Now they can go look at other coins and go, oh, look, it happened on this one too. That's when those elements, that's when those ideas and the understanding get cemented into your head. So I really appreciate you doing that. That was awesome of you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, you guys, what did you think about that? Did you enjoy this session? Is this something you guys would like to take like little tidbits of this, little pieces of this, and kind of break down this stuff more? We can take another element of the die creation, because I don't mind breaking things down to their smallest parts, especially with the people that we have here. Because you think of the accumulative knowledge that's on the panel, and it would be even more if Paula was here. Well, hold on, that was rude of me to say. I wasn't implying she's old. I'm just saying she has a lot of knowledge. Yeah, I had to correct myself there. But the cumulative knowledge between the 3 of them is significant. I mean, you're talking of almost 100 years of experience. So it's really nice to be able to have them here and kind of walk through. Now, as they say things that it's like, okay, well, that might be a little bit complex. Let's break that down to its smallest part. Then we can go through and say, okay, this is what this means. And, Siren's over there in the vertical stream saying she's here by herself. Yeah, and that happens. But again, Frostbyte coins. I'll see you too. Okay. Oh, okay. You were responding to somebody else. I got you. Okay. Yeah. So Gatita, I do this for people because you guys have to understand that I have 3 screens. I have 2 streaming softwares open. I have 2 chats and then all of my resources. So I'm doing full on production, right? So this is there's a lot to look at. So if I miss you or I miss a question, tag me, right? Frosty, I'm gonna probably enter a command that allows you to do ! Frosty and then your question, or like tag and then your question to make sure that I get notified that you're asking a question. Because if you've seen it, and I've shown Chuck, it's a full-on production. Like I've got like 10 screens open on 10 windows open on 3 different screens. So it's quite the little production that I have here. So bear with me if I don't answer you immediately. I will try to get to you, but the best thing you can do is tag me, right? It jumps up as a bright orange element, and then I'd be able to look at it and see what's going on. So I apologize earlier for not doing that, but I definitely appreciate it. Jack Galman came over to the other side, and Siren, I'll join you on this side. That was very nice of you. Eric and Chuck, do you have anything else you want to add before I wrap today's stream up?
Just
no.
a mini update on the 1909 project of trying to take pictures of all the different double dies that are known so that we could clump them and figure out exactly what the real truth is. Last time I think I spoke, it was I was up to 100 and something photos. And now the project is up to 381 photos at 5.1 gigabytes.
Wow.
And I still haven't done more than 24 coins out of 70 or so. So it's going to take time.
So real question, somebody just asked, I'm not too familiar, but how hard is it to find the 43/2 overdate?
They're not super hard to find, but they're not easy either.
So he's talking cents?
They're not extremely rare. That's the S Mint only. Okay. You can find them on the S Mint. The way to find them, especially on circulated coins, is at the inside edge of the 9, inside the hole of the 9 is doubled. So you've got some doubling in the 9, and then you go over and you look, and you've got a very weak 2 that kind of surrounds the 3. That's something we had not necessarily discovered or known much of anything about for a number of years. It was listed as a double die, and then somebody finally figured out that this isn't just a double die. Let's take a look at this more carefully. And it turned into being a pretty important find. I'm trying to bring up pictures right now.
I got the photo right now.
Oh, you do? Okay. You can go ahead and show it to us.
Quit your bitching, Eric. I'm sorry. My power, it did it yesterday too. Went out exactly the same time yesterday. So they're,
rolling brownouts.
Actually,
brownout. Yep, that's it.
Let me present this way. Here we go. That's the coin.
There you go. Yeah, that image is a little washed out. No, there it is. It's coming in. Okay, it had to develop. But if you look inside, at the bottom of the 1, there's some doubling. There's some doubling going south, kind of on the 9 also. The 4 doesn't show much, but if you look outside the top of the 3, toward the rim from the outside top of the 3, that is the top of a 2. And if you follow it down in the shape of a 2, you'll get the point in the center of the 3 that came from a 2.
You need out. Come on.
How did they determine that, Chuck?
Overlay, I'm sure. Okay. I haven't done that yet. Probably need to make sure I agree with it. But
yeah.
This is also a really small RPM. You can see some doubling on the top serif of the S. But this is a case where a die, probably a hub or a die. It was probably a die. Was repaired. You can see that the bottom of the 4 and the 2 get really kind of crusty looking, and they don't show up really well. And that's because they've been probably filled or probably sanded off in some shape or form. And they're just not very strong. This is not because of the curvature of the conical shape of the die initially, because it otherwise wouldn't show up. Do we have another picture over there? Looks like a different coin.
I think I don't know if it's a different coin, but it's definitely a different photo.
So answer me this.
It's definitely the same die, because you can see the details better. You can see the shape of the 2 a lot better.
Yeah, and then that's the...
So they do this on the working hub, right?
I'm not sure.
And then they repunch the numbers into the... I mean, I don't know how. I don't understand how they do this. Like,
Well, what this would have been
or
is
rehubbing.
this is likely a case where a working die was hubbed with a 1942 hub. And
Okay.
then they realized, oh, wait a minute, we shouldn't have done that. They repair the die
They
and
repair the working die. Okay.
and then rehub it with a 1943. Because if this was a working hub, these would be common.
Right. Right. Right.
These are not common. So there you can very clearly, in this image, you can very clearly see the bottom of the 1 and the bottom of the 9 that are very doubled.
Okay. I mean, that die was definitely stoned. Like, it was worked hard.
Yeah, it was.
It was worked hard.
It was used up and put away wet.
Yeah, it was. Okay.
And so that's one to look for. There's also another 1943S doubled die that shows on the inside of the 9. You have to be careful that you're not talking about the same one. So you make sure you're watching for that sort of weak impression that looks like a ghost 2 underneath the 3. And that's going to be your difference because the other doesn't have that. Yeah, these are different examples of the.
There's the
your
overlay.
God, and okay.
From that, it doesn't quite look like it fits.
It sure doesn't.
Nope, it sure don't.
It sure doesn't.
So I would have to actually get an example.
Sure looks like another 3 under there. I'm just saying.
I don't really see the 3 because I don't see any part of the bottom of it.
But I agree that you don't see the bottom of it, but
But if you look, the device on the floor
you
is
can
lower.
see how it gets you can see how it gets weaker and weaker and weaker as it goes down. Like, you can see that. So I could theoretically see where you wouldn't see the bottom of the 3.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with the shape of the curve up top. The shape of the curve is a little different.
I'm having trouble with the middle. Seeing that as a 2.
I don't know. I'll try and overlay.
I don't know.
I've got a couple of these coins. I'll try and overlay and see what I think.
I'm
I haven't really ever done
obstinate
that.
anyway, so whatever.
Yeah, this is the overlay that they have on the site.
Yeah, and it just
Yeah, but the bottom of the 2 is way lower than the
way lower.
4.
It doesn't make any sense.
The 2,
Different shape.
The 2 is much larger in the overlay than, and this actually isn't an overlay because this right here is showing a 1942S with a normal 1943.
Yeah.
This isn't laying the 42 over the doubled die.
The doubled, yeah.
So you have nothing to compare it to. You're basically looking at a normal over a normal instead of looking at the actual coin you have in question.
Maybe it's a 5.
Well, I mean,
I'm just teasing.
this
It's a 5 on the
is kind of like overlaying an orange with a lemon to show the shape of an apple. I mean, it just doesn't work. But we'll get it figured out one way or another.
You will get it figured out.
That's what we do.
I won't. You will. I won't. I'll just go with what you say.
That's what I'll probably make a video on it when I do,
Be happy.
because there's a lot of people, including PCGS, believe that's a 2.
To see if it lines. Should Gatita? What did Gatita say? This coin was found.
Oh, no, I can't see the chat. I should.
This coin was found in someone else's channel roll hunt, and they said it is not a magic coin. What is it?
1979 Kennedy weighs 10.3 or 10.03 grams.
Nothing missing.
I don't have any idea what we're talking about.
I don't know either.
They found a Kennedy. It's a 1979. It only weighs 10.03 grams. Everything is there, but she wanted to know about it. People were saying it's potentially a magic coin. Try to put it in a cup, shake it around, see if it pops up.
Well, that doesn't always work. I mean,
10 grams to 11 could be a slightly rolled thin stock.
yeah.
There's a lot of things it could be. And it being a $0.50 wouldn't surprise me a lot. There's a lot of odd errors in $0.50. I don't know. I'd have to see it to understand it, to know.
Yeah.
It could also be extensive wear. It could be a mixture of the two. It could be a tapered planchet. Getting more into the
That would show with the strike. You'd be
It
able to
would.
tell.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
But a rolled thin would also show because
Yes.
you'd have a weak strike.
Yes.
Because it's something that people don't understand is that the presses are made to only go down to a certain height.
Mhm.
And that certain height is the height that would impress the design into a fully thick coin.
Being light.
If you've got a rolled thin stock, the press is not going to hit it all the way because it's set to not hit that thin. So it doesn't kill the press. So a rolled thin stock is going to be a weak strike.
Being light to look out for, that is what he was talking about. Yeah, I'm not aware of something like that. Yeah, I'm not aware of like specific years being known for. I mean, there are early 80s are like those are more common to find certain errors.
Well, let's think through this. Why would it be 79 to 81?
Exactly.
Well, it's because that's when they minted Susan B. Anthony dollars.
Well, right.
Susan B. Anthony dollars are a little bit smaller than a $0.50, and they're probably also slightly thinner than a $0.50. So they could possibly be $0.50 struck on Susan B. Anthony.
Yeah, he could be talking about that.
But the Susan B. Anthony is only 8.1 grams. So
Yeah, it would be quite a bit less.
But not when they're
unless
the
it's
size
on
of a $0.50.
unless it's on stock.
What I'm talking about is a stock is as thin as it needs to
Yeah.
be for a Susan B, but it's cut in $0.50 size. It's not going to be normal weight for a Susan B.
oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
struck on wrong
It
stock.
would be right in between them, right around that 10 grams.
Yeah, quarter stock too.
I think quarter stock would probably be too thin.
I'm gonna look that up. We know the 70s. That's a given.
It's so far out of my wheelhouse, it almost makes me violently ill to think about it and try processing it.
You'll be all right.
Not
I
only
looked at the visual.
do I not do silver colored coins, but I literally start gagging when I see Susan B. Anthony dollars.
Me
They're
too.
good, they're good to me for $1. I mean, I can spend them, but even people don't want to take them. It's like they're so cursed, people don't want to take them at the store.
And then they turn around and minted another dollar, the same general size that nobody
Well,
wanted.
and
At
all they
least
got to
it's a
do,
different color.
Yeah.
all they got to do is quit making paper dollars, and people will use them.
Well, there's a problem with that too, because the paper dollars are made by a different entity.
Right, but I mean, all the other governments around the world have
They
been
want to lose their
successful.
business, and the lobbyists are keeping the whole cotton and linen thing together. And if we quit making dollar bills, you lose about half the overall press use by the BEP. They're not going to do that. What they really should do is start drumming up the $5 bill a lot, and drop the 1 and the 2, the silly 2. There's no reason to make $2 bills.
Oh, it
So when he
doesn't
said the
give-
BEP, he's talking about the
Thank-
Bureau of Engraving and Printing. So that's
Yes.
what the BEP is.
That is not the mint. They are not related to the mint. They don't even work on the same budget as the mint. So they're always going to fight against one another.
But there was one time apparently where the guy from Bureau Engraving and Bureau and Printing had some dies, and they took him to the mint and hung him above the coin press. Right, Paula?
You mean
What?
plate?
I'm sorry. I'm looking for a weight on, and I'm not getting anything.
I
It's
said it,
bugging me.
I said, but except for the story where the guy from Bureau and Engraving Printing took the dollar
Oh yeah, the
coins
Richmond
and
dime.
took them to the mint and hung them over the minting
boy.
machines.
The a Richmond dime. Ay, ay, ay.
no.
Yeah, lovely.
Well, that's another one of your favorites.
Oh my
It's like,
God.
how in the what? Why in the world? Mike Pepsi was just gifted a membership by Robert Pintoff.
I don't know. I know I have a list somewhere of wrong stock weights, and I can't find it online, so I would have to go into my stuff. But
Yeah, again, when you're talking about how things happen on coins, again, if you can't explain it, or there's something just way out, that doesn't mean it's a
I'm just
100%
not familiar
improbability.
with
But
like certain I do know that the 70D especially is known, the half dollar is known for having being struck on wrong stock. That's the only one I'm aware of that
They struck that
is
on
a
quarter
specific
stock, right?
year. Huh?
There's in the 70 also. There's quarters struck on dime stock, isn't there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's wrong stock. That's the only one that I'm familiar with. I don't know about the 79, 80, and 81 issue. So, but like Chuck said, yeah, those are the years for the Susan B. Anthony. So maybe that's what he's talking about.
Dave's not here, man.
Dave's not here.
And they are very similar in weight. I mean, that's part of why they didn't work, because Susan B. Anthony's were pretty much exactly between the half dollar and the quarter size.
I don't know if it would be stock or if it would be the planchets. Let's see. Kennedy struck on quarter stock.
Just look up mint tolerance, and it gives a whole list. That's one tolerance that is easy to
Here it is. Oh, great. It's
This isn't about mint tolerance.
168 grains.
Yeah,
I'm not doing the conversion. You do the conversion.
Yeah, there's a lot of weight stuff when it comes to tolerances.
I'm not
I have
doing
it.
that.
I have it up here on my screen.
Chuck, you do it. Okay.
A person on the PCGS board that goes by Captain Henway, who I happen to know is a coin expert since the early 70s, said that he calculated the expected weight of a Kennedy half dollar on SBA stock to be 10.807 grams. 10.80.
There you go. So that's got to be what he's talking about. There you go. So that must be what EP is talking about then. Struck on SBA stock.
Captain Henway. I'm having a trouble remembering his original. Oh, his name is Tom DeLory.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that guy.
Yeah. He's one of the experts of numismatics, of
Yes.
not our generation, but the one slightly before us, because he started in the late 60s, and he's I don't know if he's still with us.
Isn't he one of the ones that started the Aerorama?
One of them, yeah. He was also the guy who initially discovered that the initials on the back of a 1973 Lincoln Cent are a lot larger than those of a 1972 Lincoln Cent. So he spent years going through 73 Lincoln Cents looking for one minted with the wrong reverse. Never found one.
Really? Oh, that's a trip.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he and I had a direct conversation about that one time when I was talking about that. And he said, "You're a little late to the party. I tried that back in the 70s and never found one."
Yeah, because that is a 1-year thing. I wonder what. Do you know why they did that?
No idea. I really don't know. But
that's a trip.
the 73 Lincoln Cent is a weird thing.
Mm-hmm.
The obverse and the reverse were changed. The date looks really weird. Liberty is really weak, but it's sharp. It's just a very strange year for minting Lincoln Cent.
That's
There's also
funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's also a thickness difference between 72 and 73, where 73s will actually stack a little bit taller.
Hmm.
I was minted in 73.
Wow.
Well, there's
Well,
the answer.
there's your answer.
Yeah, there's the answer. We all know now. Well, there's one mystery.
I blame it on the shrooms.
Right.
My question is
Grateful Dead.
does Frosty's reverse have small or large initials on it?
Honey?
Yeah, right. Hey, come look at this.
Yeah.
I
Tell
just
me
had
how
this
big my
visual of,
initials are.
Frosty with his head turned going around in circles trying to see.
In fact, yes, I am, Neil.
We all know Frosty is a unique rarity, so we'll call him with small initials and make him different from everything else.
Well, folks, thanks for a fun day. I'm going to go
Always
ahead. I'm
fun.
going to be wrapping things up.
I'm bummed that I missed it. Thanks, Pacific Power. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's rolling brownouts are a beast.
Ugh.
Is it
But
hot
thanks for
there,
coming
Paul?
back and chatting, and you
It
guys,
has
thanks for
been.
hanging out with me
It's been
today.
hot here all summer. All summer long. We had August weather since June.
Well, you guys had
It's-
some days that were real hot.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
been a beast this summer. So
Yeah, talking to a couple of friends of mine that live up there, and their power bills were outrageous.
yeah. Oh yes.
Hell, my power bills have been doing really well.
Well, we're
Yeah.
talking like $900, $1,100 power
Yeah,
bills.
I mean, I was getting
Yeah.
350 a couple years ago, and I haven't had a power bill over 220 in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And I mean, my air conditioner, it doesn't turn off, runs constant.
Yeah, mine's been running constant too. It's just been it's been tough. I mean, we've had more triple digit days this year than any I can remember.
Yep, great Scott. It's a good time to get solar.
Boy, a lot of my neighbors got scammed on that solar thing.
Mm.
You do have to
Good
be
if you
careful.
pay cash for it. You got to have a lawyer look at those contracts. Because they're getting, oh, it's free, it's this and that. And then you find out that the company's taking all the rebates for like 10 years and still charging them.
Mm.
All right, folks, I have to go ahead and punch out. My dog is
He wants to go out.
he's absolutely nuts. He's here growling at me.
Oh, Shermie.
It's time to go now. So-
Bye, Chuck. Have a good day.
okay,
Have a good one.
later.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you. All right, folks. Yeah, we're going to wrap it up. I've got some stuff I've got to get taken care of today. So I've got to get with Bifrost and
Bye,
get some of her school
everybody.
supplies
See you
ready.
later.
And
See everybody soon. See everybody next weekend.
Bye.
thanks, folks. Appreciate you. And again, Livecoin Q&A is going to be on tomorrow night, 7:30, 7 that's Eastern, 7 o'clock Eastern. You have Copper Coins doing their reveal. Go check that out. And here in about 30 minutes, you have Coin Crew that's going to be doing their auction. So go check them out and let them know Frosty sent you over. All right, folks. Well, I hope you enjoyed today. We'll do more of these. If there's a specific topic or element that you guys want to discuss, please reach out to me and let me know. And we will work to do whatever I can. I will work on my artistry skills to make sure that I can draw better images. But hopefully you guys found this beneficial. And I know some of the earlier conversation was pretty in depth. So I wanted to make sure that we kind of backed that off and got really deep into the simplicity of how easy these can be once you understand the basics. Victoria and Southern Coin, remember to email cd@coppercoins.com to claim your 2 giveaways. And then again, for Mike Pepsi, Robert Pintoff had gifted a bunch of memberships for me to give away to the subscribers. So thank you so much for that, Robert. I definitely appreciate you. More Pictionary with the fam. I've definitely got to do something. I am working with her to learn how to draw, but I'm just not. Maybe if I had a pen and a tablet, I might be able to do it a little bit better, but it's just not done with a mouse. So, all right, folks. Well, thank you. Take care of yourselves. Be well, be blessed, and I will see you